Hey guys, I'm Lindsay with JL Ranch Training. This is Tiana. She's my 3-year-old buckskin filly. She has had a little bit of work done with her. She's done a lot of groundwork, and has just recently, within the past 6 months, started riding and learning about collection, impulsion, and all those fun things. However, today I'm going to go over some basics with you. She's not perfect at it. She still struggles, especially now that she knows what work is, and failure on my part to continue working with her on basics. But we're going to talk about pull pressure and how that can help with the bridle. When I ride, I use a copper snaffle bit, egg butt usually, or a D-ring. I prefer that in starting all horses, and if I can, I like to keep them in it. I also prefer a yacht rope rein. These reins are actually by Counter Canter Designs. They make a beautiful, heavy yet lightweight rein that feels good in your hands. They have some light slobber straps. I don't prefer the larger slobber straps. I've had problems with them in the past, and just too much weight on my horse's mouth for what I'd like to start with. I'd like to teach them to be light and supple off of a light rein. This is a beading that I adore, if you can see. It's just for fancy bling, no functional purpose, just for pretty. But this is also by JoJo Pinto Designs. She does some great work. Go ahead and check her out if you get a chance on Etsy or on Instagram. Alright, now I'm going to get started and teach you some things about pull pressure now that you know what I use on my horse when I'm riding and working with her. This halter is actually a hybrid halter, not the official by Callie Klickenberg. It's going to be just one that has the rope with the knots over and the rest is nylon. I'm going to start by putting a hand at the top of her head. Good girl. I'm going to reward that. Even though it's curiosity, checking what's in my other hand, she's probably looking for a treat or for something to lip on. She's still very playful as a 3-year-old. But I'm going to reward that so she starts to associate the downward pressure with anything. And notice I'm just setting my hand on top of her head. Literally. I'm not adding any pressure with the lead rope. There's still a lot of slack. Good girl. Again, she knows this cue. It's been a while since we've actually worked on it. So now I'm pointing my fingers down. Good girl. And I'm going to reward any amount of try. I'm not going to continue to nag her and push on her. This is right where the band sits on your horse for the halter, right at the pole. There's a group of muscles there. They do take some stretching in order to become soft and supple and give that flexion that you want, especially when you're doing vertical flexion. So I'm going to add a little bit. Good girl. I just picked it up and gently, you can see barely, hardly any pressure. There's still She is more curious about what I have in my hand, and I don't have anything, so I'm not quite sure. Good girl. But continue to do that. Now, if you got a horse that's resisting, I would continue, just say, put point of pressure, good girl, until she gives to the pressure. Eventually, you'll get some head nod, whether they're falling asleep or whether they're goofing around or raising their head in the air. This is something you can do when they're at their max height. Well, unless you have a 17 hand, 18 hand. And get a step ladder maybe, or something that you can easily jump off of. Girl. So, how does this incorporate into what I want to teach her for regular day work? I'm going to leave the halter on. Typically I take it off, but in case she decides to walk off, I'm going to go ahead and leave that halter on. I'm going to start by asking her just to drop her head. I personally always put the reins over, so I'm prepped and ready, so they're not hanging on the way, they're not dropped on the ground. I like to take care of my things and make them last as long as possible. Good girl. I'm going to reward her for that. I'm going to keep this right here. I'm going to bring this up and ask her to drop her head with this piece right here. Notice how she becomes a little bit more resistant, a little bit more Distracted, good girl. I'm gonna keep that piece there, but remove the pressure from the top. Good girl. So, now that she's down, I'd rather have her down here. Keep your head up and out of the way, obviously. Good girl. And then slide the bit in. I'm gonna just hold it here. Good girl. And I'm gonna let her release it. Good girl. This is something that you can practice regularly with your horse because you want them to learn that every time you bridle, you're not gonna get out and work. It's not a bad thing to have the bridle on. They can just put it in, put it out. It's not a big deal. Try this. Come down here to my level. Now what would be the benefit of doing this from the ground? Say you have a little kid eventually when your horse gets to 18 years old or a little bit older and they're short, they can't reach. This is a good way to practice getting them ready for that. She's not dropping her head, so I'm going to keep that pressure there. Notice how I'm not doing much different. Again, this can turn into a waiting game, but just be patient with your horse. They feel your fingers up there, so you don't have to start knocking, you don't have to start drilling a hole through the top of their head. Just be patient. She gave me a slight downward pressure. Good girl. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. So if I need to, I'm going to stand. She's never done this before. She's taken it off at a ground level. Now, always be ready to move. That's one thing I do stress, safety first. I know my horse. I know that she's not going to do anything crazy while I'm down here. Any other horse, though, unless I knew them and what their personality was like, this is not something I would just do. If your horse is not tolerant or not used to you being on the ground next to him, girl, go ahead and keep standing. This is something I'm just showing you benefits and also teaching her to do as I'm teaching y'all. Practically falling asleep on me. Taking off that pressure. Another thing you can do if you've got this, use the reins as your pressure. Girl. Stop pushing the bit and ask for that pressure again. Again, light pressure. I'm not grabbing and pulling. I'm simply like literally fingers. My reins are sitting at the pole right behind her ears. Not asking for flexion. I'm asking for a head drop. I'm going to ask for that pressure now. She brought her back up. I'm going to go ahead and stand up. She's having problems with this. We're going to work on it from the ground, from where we need to. I'm going to add a little pressure. She knows what I'm asking. She's done this before. Good girl. She just knows what's coming. So I want to teach her to be soft again in response to this cue. I'm putting a little pressure under the jaw, whether it's using the lead rope, whether it's using the halter. But again, I'm not fighting with her. And should she raise up, we just continue to keep that pressure. Part of the problem is I need to teach her to bring her head down while I'm down here. So maybe I jump the gun by raising up the bridle. She needs to learn that coming down to me is a good thing. Girl. Learn to keep her head and that relaxed. Girl. Now, say if you can't reach, that's why another reason why it's good to teach the gentle downward pressure of the lead rope. You can execute the same concept just by getting them to lower their head. everything here is pretty light. They can feel it. If they can feel a fly landing on you, landing on their body, they can feel that your pressure is right there. It's not they've just been sensitized to the fact that they can ignore your pressure or get away with it and you'll stop. So, girl, I'm just gonna reward her right here. Good girl. I like that her head's down, that she's relaxed, even though she's not totally focused on me. She's still hanging out down here with me. I'm gonna slide this up. Girl. I'm gonna go ahead and put down pressure. Scratches, a lot of good girls. I personally don't do treats for a lot of rewards just because it doesn't work for me so much. I do it for trick training if I'm teaching a bow or teaching them to search for a certain spot, or for stretches. I do use treats for stretches to get them engaged in the stretch a little more and a little bit of motivation. So she's moving away from that. I'm going to keep it right there. Girl. Top of me is not okay either. So we'll move to her. Start back up here. Girl. I'm going to put it all the way on this time. Girl. Lots of girls, a lot of rewards, scratches. I'm going to ask her to put her head down again before I take this off. I don't want her shooting her head up in the air, so I'm going to hold it until she gives me good. Head down. Girl. Rewarded that simply by dropping the bit. Notice how my forearm is acting as pressure at this point. Now, I don't want to bore you guys by showing you the same thing over and over. However, you get the concept of the idea. If you have any questions, go ahead and shoot me a message or ask me. As you can see, that's beneficial as it keeps your horse from becoming a giraffe when you decide to bridle. Keeps them focused on you. It teaches them something. It helps stretch out that pole and gives them a little bit more mobility. I hope you enjoyed the talk, and we will talk again later. You have a good one.